There is a whisper, a voice that speaks to you, not in words, but in the quiet ache between heartbeats. It's the echo of a dream you had as a child, now buried under the weight of practical things. It's the restlessness you feel when the world tells you you should be content, but your soul feels homesick for a place you've never been. You feel it, don't you? The silent negotiation between the life you are living and the one you feel you were meant to live, the fear that it's too late, the frustration that the map you were given seems to lead everywhere but to a destination that matters. This ache, this spiritual longing is not a flaw, it is a homing signal. In 1988, a Brazilian writer named Paulo Coelho penned a simple story about a shepherd boy named Santiago. It was called The Alchemist. It sold only a handful of copies, but it carried a secret, an ancient truth about the universe and our place within it. It spoke of a personal legend, of omens, and of a language that the world uses to guide those who are willing to listen. This is not just a story, it is a mirror. And in the next couple of minutes, we will not just read its pages, we will learn to decipher the map it has drawn on your own soul. The journey begins with a single, terrifying, and beautiful question. Are you brave enough to follow the omens?
Insight 1. The Personal Legend. The personal legend is not a destination on a map, but the magnetic north of your soul. It is the unique, gravitational pull that gives your life its true trajectory. Imagine a master sculptor standing before a giant, rough block of marble. Everyone else just sees a big, plain rock. It's heavy, solid, and ordinary. But the sculptor, she sees something different. She sees a beautiful figure right there, trapped inside the stone. Her whole life is like a quiet conversation with that hidden shape. Every time she picks up her hammer and chisel, it's not because she's trying to make something new from scratch. It's because she's trying to set something free. Each chip of stone that falls away is a piece of the prison falling off, liberating the form that was always meant to be. Your personal legend is that hidden figure. It's the real you, the one that exists as pure potential. It's the best, most authentic version of yourself. Right now, it's waiting to be released. It's trapped in the marble of your life, the fear of failing, the heavy obligation to do what others expect, and the constant noise of distractions and other people's opinions. Your job isn't to create a new person. It's to chip away everything that isn't you. It's what you have always wanted to accomplish. Everyone, when they are young, knows what their personal legend is. At that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything is possible. They are not afraid to dream and to yearn for everything they would like to see happen to them in their lives. But as time passes, a mysterious force begins to convince them that it will be impossible for them to realize their personal legend. That mysterious force, we know its voice intimately. It's the voice of reason that feels like fear. It's the well-intentioned advice that feels like a cage. To acknowledge your personal legend is to enter a sacred war against the mundane. It is to declare that your life is not an accident, but a prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. But how do you begin a war when you don't even know your own weapons? The first step isn't an action, it's a surrender. Insight 2. The language of omens. The universe is not silent. It is a constant, flowing conversation. Omens are its vocabulary. They are the punctuation marks in the story God is telling about your life. A man was lost deep in the woods. He'd been wandering for hours, and the panic was starting to set in. Every direction looked the same, and he felt completely alone and hopeless. Just as he was about to give up, he stopped and really looked at the trees around him. That's when he noticed it. A specific, thick patch of moss was growing only on the north side of every single trunk. It had been there the whole time. The entire forest had been practically shouting the way home, but he only saw it when he was truly, utterly lost and finally willing to pay attention. An omen is like that moss. It's not always a grand sign in the sky. It can be a chance meeting with the right person, a dream that keeps coming back, a book that seems to fall off the shelf right in front of you, or a piece of a stranger's conversation that answers a question you've been carrying. It's a secret message meant only for you, and it's written in a language that only your own heart can understand. You just have to be willing to see it. There is a language in the world that everyone understands. It's the language of enthusiasm, of things accomplished with love and purpose, and as part of a search for something believed in and desired. To read the Omens, you must first believe the universe is conspiring in your favor. This is the great pivot from a world that is hostile and random to a world that is alive and communicative. The omens are there. The question is, are you literate? And what if the greatest omen was the first heartbreak you ever experienced?
Insight 3. The Crystal Merchant's Lesson. Fear is not the opposite of courage. It is its cocoon. We often build a comfortable, beautiful shop at the top of a hill and spend our lives polishing the crystals, terrified to ever descend and risk the road to Mecca. The shepherd boy, Santiago, takes a job at a small crystal shop. The owner is a good, honest man, but he is also a perfect example of a dream that has been put on hold forever. The merchant's biggest dream is to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, a sacred journey for someone of his faith. He has saved money for it his whole life, yet he confesses to Santiago that he will never actually go. The reason is surprising. The thought of Mecca is what keeps him going. It gives him a reason to get up each morning and face the hardships of his shop. Actually going to Mecca would be the end of that. He's afraid that if he fulfills his great dream, he would be left with a terrifying question, what do I live for now? So he chooses to keep his dream as just a dream. He has built his whole life around the wanting because the reality of having it seems more frightening than never having it at all. I'm afraid that if my dream is realized, I'll have no reason to go on living. How many of us are the crystal merchant? We use our dreams as beautiful, distant stars to navigate by, but we are terrified to actually build the ship and sail for them. We fear the fulfillment more than the failure, because failure leaves the dream intact, a perfect, shimmering fantasy. Success makes it real, flawed, and demands a new dream. So you choose the road. You leave the crystal shop, and the universe, in its strange economy, begins to test you immediately. It asks, what are you willing to pay? Insight 4. The Principle of Favorability. When you commit to your personal legend with the unshakable faith of a gambler betting his entire fortune on a single card, the universe leans in. It begins to clear the path. This is not magic, it is the physics of the soul. Picture a farmer in the middle of a bad drought. He's down to his very last seed. He's terrified. If he plants it and the rain never comes, he's lost everything. If he plants that seed while clutching it tightly with fear, the dry, hard ground will reject it. Nothing will grow. But if he plants it with total, almost reckless faith, believing deep down that the rain will come, he's made a kind of deal with nature. He's done his job, and very often, that's when the skies open up and the rain finally falls. The shepherd boy Santiago learned this same lesson. When you truly want something with all your heart, the whole universe seems to step in to help you make it happen. But you have to take the first brave step yourself. You have to plant your seed. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. This is the most dangerous and misunderstood idea in the book. It is not a promise of ease, it is a law of alignment. A ship's sail does not create the wind, it merely positions itself to catch the wind that is already blowing. Your commitment is the act of raising the sail. But the wind that fills your sail can also become a storm that threatens to tear you apart. This is where you learn the final and most difficult language. Insight 5. The Alchemy of the Heart. Your heart is not just a feeling, sentimental thing. It is an alchemist's crucible, where the lead of your fear and past hurts is meant to be transformed into the gold of wisdom and courage. Out in the desert, the alchemist told Santiago he had to learn to listen to his own heart,
even when it was scared. Santiago complained, "But a fearful heart is a nuisance. It just gets in the way." The Alchemist explained it like this: a heart that gets used to the adventure eventually stops being afraid, but you have to talk to it. You have to calm it down. He said to think of your heart like a spooked horse. It's strong and knows the way, but it's easily frightened. It needs to feel that the rider, that's you, is firmly in control and knows what he's doing. Your heart is a complicated thing. It holds the secret truth of your deepest dream, your purpose, but it's also a storehouse for every hurt, every failure, and every disappointment you've ever had. The real work is to learn the difference between your heart's true wisdom and all the fearful noise from your past. You have to separate the true signal from the static. Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity. This is the core of the inner journey, to sit with your own trembling heart and not run from its fear, to thank it for its warning, and then to lead it forward anyway. This dialogue is the highest form of prayer. It is where you become your own guide and your own sanctuary. And once you have mastered the language of your own heart, you are ready for the final test, the test that asks you to become nothing, to become everything.
Insight 6. The desert speaks. The desert is not an empty place. It is the great silent teacher. It strips away everything you are not until only the essential you remains. It is the void from which all creation springs. Santiago was trapped. Tribal warriors had him cornered, and they would kill him unless he could perform the impossible, turn himself into the wind. He didn't fight the desert. Instead, he looked out at it. He stared deep into the endless sand, the huge sky, and felt the powerful wind. And in that moment, he understood something amazing. The desert, the sky, and the wind weren't separate things. They were all part of the same great force, the same hand that had created him too. He didn't try to boss the wind around. Instead, he started a conversation with it. He spoke its language, the silent language of connection that everything in the world understands. He realized he wasn't just a boy standing in the desert. He was the desert, in a way. He was an expression of the very same spirit that moves the sand dunes and guides the stars. Because he was a part of it all, the wind listened. The boy reached through to the soul of the world and saw that it was a part of the soul of God. And he saw that the soul of God was his own soul, and that he, a boy, could perform miracles. The desert is your darkest night, your most profound loss, your moment of absolute surrender. It is in this emptiness that you discover your non-separation from the divine. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. And then the silence. The storm passes. You have become the wind. You have survived the desert, and you arrive at last at the destination you have crossed a continent to find.
Insight 7. The treasure is where your heart is. The treasure was never buried at the end of the map. The treasure was the map itself, the journey, the transformation, the soul you forged along the way. After an incredible journey, surviving a shipwreck, working in a crystal shop, crossing the desert with an alchemist, and escaping tribal wars, Santiago finally reached the Egyptian pyramids. His heart was pounding. This was it. He started digging right where he thought his treasure was buried, but instead of finding a chest of gold, he was found by a group of thieves. They beat him badly and stole what little money he had. Bleeding and broken, he told them why he was there. He confessed it was all because of a dream about a treasure near the pyramids. One of the thieves just laughed at him. He said, "You're a fool for believing in dreams." Then, to prove his point, the thief described his own recurring dream. He said he kept dreaming of a treasure buried not in Egypt, but back in Spain, under a sycamore tree, next to an old abandoned church. Santiago
Santiago knew that place instantly. It was the very same church where he had slept as a shepherd before his entire journey began. The treasure he had crossed a continent to find was waiting for him at home, right where he started. The secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never to forget the drops of oil on the spoon. This is the story's final, breathtaking paradox. The treasure is not the gold. The treasure is the man who dug, the man who left a shepherd and returned a king. The gold was always there, but the man who could appreciate it, the man who had learned the language of the world, that man did not exist at the beginning of the story. He was created by the journey. The real treasure was the alchemy that happened inside him. So was it all for nothing? A cruel joke? Or is this the most profound truth of all?
He digs and finds the treasure. But he is not the same boy who left. The journey was not a detour from his destiny. It was the very substance of it. He could not have found the treasure without the journey, and the journey would have been meaningless without the treasure to guide him. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, needed him to go to the pyramids not to find gold, but to hear a thief's dream, so he could understand where his true wealth had been hiding all along. So what remains? The fears and frustrations of the opening have not vanished. The world is still the world, but you have changed. You have learned to listen. You understand that the journey and the destination are one, that the alchemist was not a man, but the process of transformation itself, that the treasure is not a thing to be found, but a soul to be recovered. It's the simple things in life that are the most extraordinary. Only wise men are able to understand them. Your personal legend is not a future event. It is the next most courageous step in front of you. The omen is the synchronicity that just flickered through your mind. The desert is the challenge you are avoiding. The alchemist is the voice in your heart begging you to listen. So here is the question, the only question that remains after the story ends, the question I leave with you. What one step will you take before the sun sets today to follow the omens? The universe is waiting for your answer.